They are strange and brutal, unsolved local murders. A killer used a carpenter's tool to kill several people, and they were miles apart from one another back in the 1980s.
And now DNA ancestry testing kits might help solve the case. Contact 7 investigative reporter Jace Larson is here. Jace, the killer is still out there.
Well, that's what police believe. This is what they think he looks like. They used DNA from the crime scene to create this. It hasn't helped yet, though. Now they are hoping to use some new technology and data from ancestry databases all to catch this guy.
It all happened within a 10-day period in 1984.
It was a violent crime spree. The murder weapons, hammers.
2 events here in Aurora and 1 in Lakewood.
4 people were killed, 2 others horribly injured, including a 3-year-old girl.
There is a hammer in each one of them. Each hammer is different. It's not the same hammer. It's not the same type of hammer.
Then, as suddenly as the attacks started, they stopped. 2 of the crimes were later linked by DNA. The 3rd had the same MO. DNA tells investigators that the killer is a white man, but his identity still eludes investigators 34 years later. Now, though, there is some new hope from a high-profile break in another cold case.
Accused serial killer Joseph DeAngelo back in court. DeAngelo believed to be the so-called Golden State Killer, accused of at least a dozen murders.
Do you remember what went through your mind when you learned not only that they'd caught the Golden State Killer, but how they did it?
Yeah, I was a little hacked. Because I thought about that a couple years ago. I was told I couldn't do it.
Aurora's cold case detective Steve Connor says now he has gotten the green light to try similar methods to those that were used by investigators in California, the ones used to catch the suspected Golden State Killer. Detective Connor now hopes to be able to use public databases of DNA from genealogy tests, those ones that are so popular. He hopes to try and use those tests to find the killer's family tree and maybe trace a path right back to the killer.
Today, that's the ultimate goal.
Now, this is a point that has raised a lot of debate across the country. When we submit our DNA to these websites, do we know that police could eventually try to arrest our family members?
I'm not uncomfortable with it because they're not uncomfortable with releasing that DNA information to databases that they should know allows for the sharing of that information.
Steve Connor does not know if genealogy DNA will solve the murders, but he is confident somehow we will eventually know this killer's name.
I'd like to think there is a 75% chance that I'll solve it personally, that there'll be a 100% chance it'll be solved eventually.
Just hours after we talked, Detective Connor got word from one of the companies using those public DNA databases there was no match to the Hammer killer. But he is also working with another expert who's doing the same type of thing, and he has his fingers crossed on that one.
Oh, we hope so.
Absolutely.
That's so encouraging.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Jason.